Right, y'all. So anesthesia for laser lead extractions. And funnily enough, I literally could not find very much information out there as far as what type of anesthesia to use, et cetera. There's not a lot out there, which I thought was super interesting. So I figured what a great time to chat about it. And if you guys do things differently, I'd be really curious to hear what your experience is with laser lead extractions. So essentially patients that have pacemakers or ICDs, sometimes due to infection, any type of erosion of the device, if there's been a malfunction, if there's been an arrhythmia, if they need an upgrade to the device for any reason, any type of retained fragment, whatever it may be, you might have to go in and get a lead out or get the leads out. Okay. And one of the ways to do that is using a laser. There's other ways to do it as well, but specifically the laser, and it'll be like a whole shebang in there. There's like, a rep that comes in that kind of helps him, helps him or her, et cetera, do it. But essentially, there's a laser device that's attached to like the tip of the sheath. They thread the sheath up to I think they can either go, they can go subclavian, kind of depending on where the device is, and they will use this laser device attached to the tip of the sheath. The laser energy creates like a heat that will vaporize the scar tissue and essentially, hopefully, make it nice and easy to get that lead out. Okay. But a lot of times it really depends on how long it's been in. Anytime you've had leads or device in for over a year, you can have a lot of adhesions and a lot of just scarred tissue in there, right? It's scarred in there, it's in there. So the longer it's been in, the greater risk of having complications, which we'll talk about in just a second. All right. And know that ICD leads are a little bit harder to extract because they're actually bigger. So just something to keep in mind. Patients are at higher risk for complications with an ICD lead. Okay. But a lot of times it depends on how long that thing has been sitting in there, getting, adhesed and fibrotic into that tissue. All right. So what we do and what I was reading with some of the articles, what a lot of people do is you do, complete GA. So we put the patients completely to sleep, intubate them. I do paralyze with rock or sucks or rock or VEC because I do not want that patient to move at all while they are in there pulling on the heart. Okay. We place an A-line. I usually will put the A-line in after induction unless patient's super sick and there's some reason I need to do it before, but I'll usually just put the patient to sleep, tube them, paralyze them, put the A-line in. I'll make sure I have 2 peripheral IVs, bilateral, at least 18s. I mean, I would like 18s. I'll take a 20 and an 18 or 2 20s, but I usually try to get 18s if I can, but at least have a 20 or 18 gauge bilateral, if possible, before you even roll in the room, or you can start a second one once you get the patient to sleep. We don't use a TEE, but some places will use a TEE to kind of help with visualization and stuff like that if necessary. So be aware you might need to share the airway with them. Cardiac team on standby. This means the whole shebang, the cardiothoracic surgeon, all your people, and be ready and prepared to go on bypass. So they need to be ready to receive this patient should something go wrong. Type and cross them. I have, normal saline, blood tubing ready to go just in case. And then I have a NeoDrip, ephedrine ready to go, and I just pull a bag of epi so I have it if I need it. Because what's the worst possible thing that could happen? Cardiac or vascular evulsion or perf, essentially rip a hole in the heart, in which that case you run to, because usually these are done in EP lab. So if that were to happen, you run this patient to the cardiac team, to the cardiac room and get them on bypass and hopefully can repair that. Other complications are PE and CVA. So knowing that essentially if you're tugging on leads, you could put a hole in the heart, that is the reasoning to do all this stuff and to have everything kind of in the room ready to go. Worst case scenario, making sure the blood's ready before you hit, the door, etc. Now, usually this goes completely fine, which is great. You've over prepared, your patient's safe, you're ready to go. But just know, it's one of those cases you got to be ready to move. You got to be kind of really sitting, paying attention. And usually the energy in the room's a little like everyone's kind of on edge until we can get that lead extracted. And then once you get the lead extracted, depending on what the plan is, no more device, they might be putting a new device in, etc. talking with the team. If the patient's been, the PACER, ICD, EP lab people will be there as well. So talking with them as far as if this patient's PACER dependent, having all those conversations so that what you need to do to keep your patient safe for that procedure. All right. So let me know if you guys have ever done any of these. Let me know what y'all do. I'm really curious to hear, and have an awesome day.